taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Ford Bronco Sport. This is the 2025 model of the ride, which gives us this beautiful 12.3-inch digital cluster screen and a new 13.2-inch infotainment system. But if you want walkthroughs on the last generation cluster screen, or if you want a walkthrough on the new infotainment system, check down in the description of this video for those walkthroughs instead. But let's dive in. I'll show you everything that you need to know about the new screen. Starting off, the steering wheel inside of the ride might be heated. If you've got a heated steering wheel, you're going to find the option just on the left-hand side of the infotainment system. It's also going to be a manual adjusting steering wheel. So down by your left knee, there's a release there to go in and out, up and down, so full telescoping to find that perfect position. Once you do, click it, lock it back into place. That stick on the left-hand side is going to be obviously for your blinkers. You can also flash out your high beams. Now, you don't have the option of permanently locking out your high beams in the auto mode. If you are in the bottom headlamp mode instead, so down by your left knee, there's a switch there. You're going to go into the headlamp mode. You can then push away to turn your high beams on, pull towards you in order to turn them off. But regardless of the mode that you're in, you can always flash your high beams out. It's just that when you're in the auto headlamp mode, it's going to essentially be an auto high beam. So if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, it's going to turn them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it's going to turn them off before turning them right back on again. So it's really straightforward there. And then stick along the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. So one down is going to just be a quick wipe. As you go up, that's the intermittent level, and then you can use the rocker in the middle in order to move between different options there. One of the fast hyper modes. And then there's also a button on the tip of the right stick in order to be able to turn on your rear wiper as well. Down by your left knee, there's also a switch in order for you to be able to adjust your brightness, and that's going to affect the brightness of the cluster screen along with the infotainment. And then so many different buttons that are available. So the ones along the left-hand side are going to be for cruise control along the top. The bottom ones here, you can increase or decrease the volume or mute out the audio volume instead. And then cruise control, you can toggle the system on this way, and then once you have it toggled on, you can push either down or up in order to be able to set your speed. You could then increase or decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time, push and hold up in order to go up 5, push and hold down to go 5 instead. Then you could hit the brake to cancel your speed. You can hit the X button to cancel your speed as well, and then you push in the middle button here in order to resume your previously set speed. The one on the top left is a distance indicator, so it's how close or far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you. So you can see there we've got 4 different levels. I recommend level 1 if you're on just residential streets or in stop and go traffic on the highway. You might want to be on level 2 or 3 on the highway depending on your comfort level. And then level 4 if it's snowy conditions outside to make sure that you're the furthest away. But inside of the infotainment system, you've also got the option of going to your features there, go to driver assistance, and then you can adjust out your cruise control type. So you can stay in adaptive cruise. The adaptive cruise, let's say if you've got it set at 100 on the highway, and then the car in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake. If they change lanes, you change lanes, they pick up speed, it's going to bring you back up to your previously set speed. Normal cruise is exactly that. It's the old school cruise. So let's say if you've got it set at 100, car in front of you slows down, yours will not brake. So that's something you have to take into consideration there. So normal cruise won't slow down, adaptive cruise will if there's somebody in front of you. There's also lane centering. So as long as the vehicle recognizes the lane markings, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane as you go. It's amazing. And bottom left-hand side of the steering wheel here, so that middle button, that's going to be for your lane keeping system. And the lane keeping system works 3 different ways. So way number 1, if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, you'll get a little alert, so a steering wheel vibration, almost like you're running over rumble pavement or there's something wrong with your alignment. There's nothing wrong, it's just that you're turning lanes or switching lanes without signaling. The aid is going to nudge you back into your lane, and then the alert and the aid will do both. So you can adjust that out, and then the intensity is the intensity of the steering wheel vibration. And there are a bunch of other settings that you've got inside of the infotainment system, but if you want a full walkthrough, you'll find that down below. But if you're looking for a full walkthrough, like you want a live demonstration on how the cruise control system works, check down in the description of this video to see a live demo of it in action. And then along the right-hand side, there are a bunch of other buttons here. So you could activate your voice assistant, where you can do things like change songs, radio stations, you can adjust your climate using your voice, and so many other things. I definitely recommend inside of the screen here, you've got the option of going into your Ford Assistant, and then you've got your command help. In your command help, you can see everything you can do with your voice. So adjusting your climate, adjusting the radio, things like that. So I definitely recommend getting yourself used to this instead. You could change between songs or stations. So if you had your audio turned on here, so you could adjust out if you've got presets set up. You've also got the option of doing a push and hold instead, and that's going to act as a seek button. So you've got that available, but honestly, your best bet, just change the stations using your voice this way. And then you've got a few other buttons here, and that's going to be to adjust out what's going on inside of the cluster screen. So hop it inside. So let's go through the cluster. So you've got your RPM gauge, so your tachometer, speedometer off to the right side, your current engine temperature, along with your current fuel level. So that's down there. Along the very bottom, you've got what gear you're in. So whether that's park, reverse, neutral, drive, whatever the case may be, or your dedicated low gear. And then you've got your auto start stop button. So whether or not that one's turned on or off there, you've got that option available. What direction you're currently facing, if there was a song currently playing. So if we turn that off for a second, you'll see that disappears. The outside temperature is there. Whether or not you've got that lane keeping system turned on or off. Your current vehicle options here. So you do have the flexibility of being able to adjust out your measurement units inside of the infotainment system. So inside of your general settings, you could adjust it out to either miles per gallon or liters instead. So you can see there, we're just adjusting it out through our general settings instead. And then you've also got your steering angle along the top. So you can see there what's currently going on with the steering angle, and then whether or not the vehicle is up, down, pointed left or right, whatever the case may be, which is useful if you're going off-road. There are a series of selectable GOAT modes to go over any terrain available inside of the ride. So you're at least going to have 5 available modes. When you get into the available Sasquatch package, the Badlands, or the Outer Banks, it's going to give you 2 additional options as well, but each mode does something different. So Slippery is going to play with your traction and stability control. Eco mode is going to give you the best possible economy. The Sport mode is going to unlock the truest potential inside of the ride. But hold on, before I say that, I love the look that Ford's done here. Like, the graphics look amazing. And you can see here, the Sport mode unlocks a few extra things and changes up the look of the cluster as well. I love it. But what Sport mode's going to do is change out your shift points. So let's say if it would normally shift for you at maybe 2,000 RPM, when you get into Sport mode, it might shift at 3,000 or 4,000 RPM instead. And then you've also got your off-road mode, and that's going to, again, play with traction stability control, so you can see that turns that off there. But I love it overall. The look, like I said, the display looks so good in comparison to last year. From here, you can also adjust out. So you're using the paddle on the top right-hand side of the steering wheel in order to be able to adjust a few things out. So just pushing the back button gives you either your seatbelt screen. You can also go up and down this way, so off-road status to see your pitch and roll. And then you've also got your available tire pressure. If you hit the menu button though, that gives you a few other options. So you can adjust your My View. And this is your My View, where you've got your trip counters, so trip A counter, etc. On your trip counter, you can push and hold OK in order to be able to reset yourself out back to 0 again. You can go to a calming view. Look at this. Oh! So if you really like that minimalistic view, you don't like all of the extra stuff, you've got that option available. Driver assistant settings, and you can also configure your My View. So do you want to have 2 different trip counters? Do you want to have your calming view, tire pressure, and things like that on the My View screen, which is this screen here that we're looking at? Hopping back in, you can adjust out to your trip counters, so your trip 1 versus 2 versus basic fuel economy. There's some basic information about the Bronco. Hopping down, this is grayed out for both the phone and for audio. Phone is because there's no phone connected. Audio because the audio is currently turned off. So turning it on, you've now got the option of changing between all of your available audio sources. So AM, FM, Sirius XM, USB. If your phone was connected, that would also show up as an available option too. So you can adjust it out to different sources this way. And then there are a series of different settings that are available. So you can see your speed in both kilometers or miles. It says Canadian spec vehicle, which is why everything's showing in kilometers. If you were in a US spec, it would say speedometer in kilometers instead. And then it would be that little split view. Then also vehicle maintenance. So you could reset your oil life filter if you want to. So if you're changing oil out yourself, you can do a basic reset there. And then you can also look at your tire pressure. So it's straightforward here. It's nice and simple. This was borrowed from the Ford Escape, so you're going to see a lot of similarities between that. I just love that calming view, just getting rid of everything. But at the same time, the Sport view, I think, also looks really, really sharp inside of this ride. I love the way that the gauges change up there. Oh, except when you're in the calming view, it doesn't do that. Yeah, but look at that. That's nice. So I know that that's a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel buttons and the new cluster screen inside of the Bronco Sport.